Hey y'all, I'm Sabrina. So in this week's video, I'm going to break down for you everything you need to know when it comes to getting certified to teach English abroad. In other words, we're talking about the TEFL certificate, or the Teach English as a Foreign Language certificate. I'm going to be going over what it is, why you need it, how to get it, and the pros and cons of the different ways that you can obtain the certificate. Now, if you're just looking for something specific, as always, I have timestamps down below. First off, let's get into the certificate that you need to teach English. If you are somebody who is looking to go to Peru or China or Uruguay or Spain, a country whose native language is not English, then you need to get the TEFL certificate. It stands for the Teach English as a Foreign Language certificate. Now, there are a handful of different certificates out there that certify someone to teach English. Essentially, each of these certificates are set up for different teaching environments. Now, the TEFL, as I mentioned before, is for somebody to teach English in a non-native English country to speakers who are non-native English speakers. So if you're somebody from the US or Canada and you want to go abroad to a non-native English speaking country like China or Thailand or Ecuador, you need this certificate. Now, there is another certificate called the TSOL, and this is the only other one I'm going to mention because this is the one that people get confused if they should get the TSOL or the TEFL. The TSOL stands for Teach English to Speakers of Other Languages. And essentially this allows you to go from a country whose native language is English to another country whose native language is also English, to teach speakers whose native language is not English. For example, if you are from the United States and you want to go to Canada to teach people who either came over from another country or grew up in that country speaking a different language and they're a non-native English speaker, then you can teach English to them in a native speaking country. Now, these two certificates are used interchangeably. However, the TEFL is the one that you're going to want if you're thinking about going abroad to a country that does not speak English. It is also highly recognized, it is globally recognized, and is the one that you're going to see most asked for when you are applying for and looking for jobs and programs. For this video, we're now only going to touch on the TEFL. If you want to know about the different programs and the different certificates that allow you to teach English, feel free to scroll down to the description below. I will have links down there that explain the different certificates and break them down for you. So now that we have an idea of what the TEFL allows you to do, or what it essentially is, let's talk about why you need it. This certificate is both documentation and proof that you are qualified to teach English abroad. It's not just a box that you need to check off on a list. It is an actual certification, and it is something you're gonna need when you are applying to different jobs. Think of it as if you want a lifeguard job. You're not just gonna show up to the pool or to the dock one day and say, hey, I've seen other lifeguards do it, I'm set to go. No, you need to go through the course, you need to be trained, you need to be certified and pass the course. Then you need your documentation and proof that you are set to be a lifeguard. Now, obviously, a lifeguard and a teacher, both very different jobs. However, I hope you get the point that I'm trying to make. So what do you need to know about this certificate? Once you take the course and you are certified, it lasts forever. There is no expiration date and you don't have to worry about taking another course again. Pretty much all jobs that you are applying to will require it, including online jobs. That's not to say that there aren't some English teaching jobs where you don't need it, because they're just fewer and far between. Now, the course itself is about 100 hours of classwork or module work, and then 6 to 20 hours of live practice or teaching. This is gonna add up to 120 hours. The course itself is very much about classroom management and learning styles and how to be a teacher, but not necessarily teach the English language. So if you are a teacher or you do have some classroom experience, it may feel really repetitive to you. When it comes to actually learning how to teach English, the grammar, the spelling, and all of that, you'll really rely heavily on the coursework provided to you by the school or the program you go with. Or Google may be your best friend if you're not provided for that when you go. After you take the course, you're by no means an expert. Don't feel like you need to be. Just like every job, you need hands-on experience. You'll learn more as you go. Just do your best to prepare, get excited, and get ready for that teaching job. Now, what are the prerequisites for this course? So you do not need to be a certified teacher. You don't need classroom experience. You don't need to be a native English speaker, and you don't need to have a bachelor's degree. Now, please note, I am saying those are the requirements that you do not need to obtain the certificate or take the course. That does not mean that there are teaching jobs out there that you can find that you won't need any of that and you can just jump in and teach. Please do your research. Do not spend a bunch of money on a TEFL certificate just to find out all of the countries that you want to go teach in won't take you because you don't have a bachelor's degree or you're not a native English speaker. Just because you get the course, it does not guarantee you a job. You really should learn what you're looking for, what type of school you want to work for or program you want to go into, what country you want to teach in before you go and get your TEFL certificate. Now that we know what the certificate is and more about the certificate and what it lets you do, let's talk about the ways you can obtain the certificate. Now, getting a certificate, it's not really difficult. In fact, it's pretty easy. And there are a lot of different ways that you can obtain it. For purposes of this video and to simplify it for you, I broke it down into 3 categories. So the first is that you are paying for the certificate itself out of your own pocket. The second is that you are paying for it through an all-inclusive deal that you'd purchase as a package. And the third is that the school or the program or the company that you're going with pays for it for you. So let's get into each of these categories and the pros and cons of each. Now, before I start, I want to put a disclaimer. I am going to give some examples of where you can obtain the certificates in each category. However, my examples are just examples. They may be a good starting point for you. However, this is not me saying that this is the best place to get your certificate or that it's an awful place to get your certificate. It's just a well-known example. Always, always, always do your research before you commit to something. And in this case, Google is your best friend. So the first category we're going to talk about is getting it yourself. And by this, I mean you are paying your own money out of pocket to purchase a course that you can complete in order to obtain the certificate. Now, this can be an in-person course, an online course, or a combination of the two. They can range from $100 to $1,000 or more dollars. Now, just because it's cheap, it doesn't necessarily mean it's worse. And just because it's expensive, doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Whatever one you go with, you need to make sure that it is a legitimate certificate and that it is accredited. Now, the reason the prices are going to be different everywhere, there's lots of different reasons. The biggest reason is that while teaching abroad becomes more and more popular, different places are offering the course at cheaper prices so that they can get you to come in and spend your money with them, just like any business. Some examples of these companies are International TEFL Academy, Eye2Eye, or Premier TEFL. However, if you Google it, there are so many different options that'll come up for you. It's insane. Definitely compare and contrast all of them, the pros and cons, check out the reviews before deciding on a certificate. So let's talk about the pros about paying for a certificate by yourself. So what's nice about this is if you know that you want to teach next year or eventually, but right now you're busy with work or with school, you can take the course then, and that way you don't have to worry about it later down the line. You can figure out what fits in best with your schedule, go after work, in between classes, on the weekends, whatever is best for you, you have the flexibility there. What's also nice is once you get it done, you can take last minute jobs because you can start that job in September and not have to push it off till October or November because now you get the job, but you have to take time to get the certificate. You can also be more picky about the places that you go. You'll have more opportunities afforded to you because now that you have the certificate, you can apply directly to the schools, and there's lots of different schools that need teachers that already have their TEFL certificate. This way you don't have to go through a company or with a specific program. Now, the cons to getting the certificate on your own is that it can be more expensive and you may end up paying more because you didn't do enough research or you were pointing in the wrong direction. You may also complete your certification and then find out the program that you really wanted to go to doesn't need a TEFL or a TSOL or any type of certificate. They'll take you right after graduating. Or you may find a program that you really like and want to go with, but in order to do that program, you have to go through their specific TEFL course. This is something that does and can happen. For example, there was a program in the Czech Republic that I had been looking into, and I contacted them and I told them I already had my TEFL. Can I just jump in and start teaching with them? Do I have to go through the course? And they said, unfortunately, they don't take any outside courses, no matter if it's accredited or not, and that they preferred all their teachers to go through the program with them. So that can be a little frustrating. You don't want to do it twice. You don't want to shell out twice either. Again, with all those cons though, it really is more of do your research so you know you're not getting ripped off, you know you're going to end up where you want to be, and you know your certificate is accredited and it is legitimate. The second category is getting an all-inclusive package. And by this, I mean you're kind of paying for a program that will bring you to the country you want, certify you to get your TEFL, and then line up a job for you after it's done. So you're paying for a package through a company. A couple examples of these companies may be CIEE or Language Corps. Now, a big pro of this is there is a lot that you will not have to worry about when it comes to actually getting there, getting your visa set up, figuring out a bank account, finding an apartment. This program or package, whatever you got, may help you step by step in getting what you need and making sure you're all set. You have someone there to ask questions, an advisor to fall back on, and you're not alone. They also connect you with a lot of people and a lot of different resources that can help. Of course, on the downside of this, besides the fact that it can be expensive, is that you may end up thinking you're gonna get all this help and they're gonna do great work with you, and it kind of falls flat and they don't help you or support you as much as they say they do. With that, always read reviews on people who've been through the program before. They'll let you know how much help was truly provided and not just what the program says they provide. Another con with going through an all-inclusive program is if you don't do your research on all of the different ones, you may end up spending a lot of money and essentially getting ripped off instead of going with another company that can also set you up, bring you to the exact same schools, the exact same country you want to go to. Again, because you didn't do your research. So with these all-inclusive programs, if you're more comfortable getting your TEFL that way and going through one of them, please, please, please do your research. Look at the multiple ones. If you find a great one that's in the country you want to go to, it's got the right setup in the schools, continue to search for other ones that promise the same thing because you might just find it cheaper. My third category is that the company or the school itself will pay for your TEFL. Now, this is something that's becoming more and more prevalent as teaching becomes more popular. I do know that there is at least one online company that you can teach English with that if you promise to work with them for so many months, they'll certify you for free. One of my friends did it. Other places that promise this are companies like EF, which stands for English First. So they provide it for you as long as you sign on to work with them. So essentially you fly over with that company and either they put you up during the course or sometimes they'll put you up for a few days while you're finding your apartment, and they'll pay for the course completely for free. You don't have to worry about the cost, and then you can go right ahead and start working for their company. So some pros of this is that you're not the one shelling out the money for it. Then after you're done, you'll always have it. It's not something they can take back. And normally when you're going with these companies, because they want you working for them, they're gonna help you with a lot more than just the TEFL certification. They're gonna help you figure out how to get to the country, how to figure out, like I said earlier, a bank account, figuring out visa work, and so on. You have a lot of support when you do something like this. Now, a con, one that I really wanna point out, is that sometimes if you go over with the company, you get your TEFL, and then working with them, you decide this is not where you wanna be, some companies will have you pay them back for the TEFL. So you may end up shelling out even more money than you would have if you had just gone and done it yourself and then went with a company that you like. Another con is that you now have to work with that company. That may mean settling on working in a language institute instead of working in a public school if that was something you really wanted to do. Or maybe you don't get to choose your placement, they pick for you. And also, you're more limited now. Instead of getting a chance to go anywhere, you're kind of tied to wherever that company can bring you and where they can place you. Again, that goes back to doing your research and reading those reviews. Okay, so we've gone over the 3 different categories that are options for you to find a TEFL certificate. So now let's get into some questions you should ask yourself when figuring out which one to go with. How do you choose which way is the best way for you? So ask yourself questions like, which way would you prefer getting your certificate? Do you want to take it while you're still in class so you don't have to worry about it later? Would you rather go with a company that would pay for it for you because you can't afford it right now, or you're going to end up working with them anyway, so you might as well have them pay for it for you? Do you learn better working in classes online? Do you have a specific start date that you want to start? What country do you want to teach in? Do you want to go with a public school, a private school, or a language school? What grade do you want to teach? All of these questions and more are the ones you're going to want to ask yourself before deciding how you are going to get your certificate. You really do need to figure out what is going to work best for you and what you're looking for in all aspects when it comes to teaching abroad. Go over your different options, weigh the pros and cons, look for pros and cons, not that I just mentioned, but from other people's perspective, and what you consider a pro and con as well. So lastly, let's get into, now that you have the certificate, what do you do with it? So right off the bat, once you get your certificate, I super recommend taking a picture of it or uploading it to your computer. That way you have it when you're ready to start applying for jobs and you can just send it off. Put it in a safe place with other important documents so that you do not lose it. Also, add it to your resume or your LinkedIn. Even if you're not going to go into teaching jobs right away, if you have that under your certificates, it's a good talking point. And lastly, of course, once you have it, start looking for jobs. But again, I'm going to say it. I've said it so much in this video. I'm going to say it again. Research, research, research. Please do your research. Know what you want and make sure that what you are choosing is the place that you want to go teach abroad. So that's all for this week. I hope this video helped you figure out what a TEFL is, why you need it, ways to obtain it, and just kind of simplified the whole process for you. Please feel free your experience with getting your TEFL certificate, or if you have any pro tips or tricks on how to obtain it. Good luck on finding and getting the right TEFL certificate for you. I hope it's easy. Once it's over for good, and you're ready to get out there and start teaching. So good luck with your future job as well. Until next time, I hope this helps.